I guess my closing arguments are is we are prepared to make a $3.6 million investment.
We received a tip that Officer Brent Caldwell, a Warsaw City police officer, was off on workman's comp due to a torn rotator cuff. Now, we're not sure which arm is supposedly hurt, but as you can see, he's using his right arm right here, using a nail gun. Then he takes his left arm, pulls the air hose, and then on this shot, you see him lifting up a board with his left arm, grabbing the nail gun with his right arm, and then he switches to his left arm. So either way, I'm no doctor, but I can clearly see that there is nothing wrong with this man's arm. Now, this matter was brought up in a city council meeting on October 12th, but went into a closed session. On Thursday, we spoke to the city clerk, Carolyn Marksberry, who told us that Officer Caldwell was on light duty. Several city officials claimed that they've never even seen paperwork proving that he's on workman's compensation, which means if he's not committing workman's comp fraud, then he's frauding his employer. Now, we did send a copy of this video to Workman's Comp, and we're still waiting to find out what's going to happen over this. Not only is this fraudulent, but this is coming from a Warsaw City police officer who is supposed to uphold the law. Several sources tell us that Brent Caldwell is aware of the video, and he has made the comment that he will give the city of Warsaw a reason to fire him. I'm John Kane, GC Video News in Warsaw. And he said, "Oh, there's my best friend John Kane." And then when he was walking out and looked at me, he's like, "Dick." Now, the only reason Nelson Brown is mad at me right now, well, there's two reasons. One, I posted a video of him threatening to bust my video camera over my car if I didn't turn it off on public property. Okay, he's off. He then went to the newspaper and said, is he allowed to do that? They told him, yeah, anybody can, because you can. I mean, anybody can grab a video camera and record in public. But him being a sheriff, you thought he knew that. But now he's mad at me again for... I called one of his friends, who is a police officer in Warsaw, on workman's comp fraud. Well, he was on workman's comp because he couldn't work because of a torn rotator cuff. I'm not sure which arm. And I called him on video building a garage. You know, lifting a 50-pound nail gun and pulling air hoses and everything else. And I put that on the internet. And hell, I put that up October 12, 2009, and still nothing's come about it. You would think, you know, most people caught with workman's comp fraud are, you know, put in jail, they're fined, felony charges and everything else. But, you know, him having the mayor as a friend and most city officials as friends, it's a little harder.
I guess my closing arguments are is we are prepared to make a $3.6 million investment.
On October 12, 2009, we posted a video of Officer Brent Caldwell committing workman's comp fraud. Yet, still, as of November 28, 2009, nothing has been done about it. Good Morning America recently did a story on widespread workman's comp fraud.
They say Dalton was willing to do anything to stay home from his job as a prison guard and keep collecting workers' comp. State investigators charged him with felony fraud after his supervisor spotted him running this race sponsored by a radio station.
So this brings me to ask, who is Brent Caldwell's supervisor? Why hasn't Brent Caldwell's supervisor done anything about this situation? Will anything be done? I've called, I've left several messages, I've been told to get a hold of Travis Simpson. That doesn't work. Travis never returns our phone call. We found that several TV stations have done stories on similar situations.
It's an infuriating abuse of taxpayer dollars, the kind of thing that gets people very upset. 7 people now charged with bilking the system, claiming to be disabled but appearing rather able-bodied. As CBS 2's John Slattery reports, prosecutors say these people were caught in the act.
Here's a county social worker claiming that he's unable to work. The DA says here is the same man heading to the gym.
What we have here is people who are just playing the system. They're ripping off the taxpayer, they're greedy, and they're going to get caught.
Exhibit 1 says the DA, Sean Tolliver of West Hempstead, who wore a sling and carried a cane when he went to compensation hearings and to doctor's appointments,
who claimed to have suffered a head injury, went to a doctor. The doctor said, you're okay to go back to work. He did not go back to work.
Instead, says the DA, Tolliver took $17,000 in workers' compensation, which she says is fraud.
We saw him, running, jogging 2 miles to the gym, working out for an hour at the gym, running home, all the while claiming such a terrible head injury that he could not return to work.
The DA has charged 7 people with workers' comp and insurance fraud, like bridge stage operator John Bonagura of Floral Park, who claimed a back injury, took $14,000 in workers' comp while engaged, says the DA, in a new job of moving dental chairs.
But he continued to collect workers' comp payments. That's a ripoff of the system.
Also caught on tape, Robin Ardiano of Hempstead, an injured construction worker who took $7,500 in workers' comp and was then seen allegedly moving drywall and moving boxes. Marcus Gamboa of Seacliff, who suffered head and back injuries, claiming he couldn't work. But the DA says he took $8,000 in claims while working at a bagel place. The DA says the alleged fraud is not only illegal, but is an affront to those who are really unable to work and make legitimate workers' comp and insurance claims.
Now, we have been told that Brent Caldwell is on light duty, which means he has a desk near his girlfriend, Carolyn Marksberry, at the city building. Why do we need this? This is a waste, again, of our tax dollars, paying him to sit at a desk where he can't do anything, supposedly. So, Warsaw, you really need to stand up and say something. So, the only thing that I know to do is to get everybody who watches this video, if you can, show up at the next City Council meeting, which will be on December 14th at 7:30 p.m. And let's let the City of Warsaw know how we feel about this. This is your tax dollars at work here. He is on workman's comp for a torn rotator cuff, yet he's able to build a garage, and you're paying for it. If this was me or you, we would have been in jail the next day, and felony charges would have followed.
Recently, Brent Caldwell, a Warsaw police officer, was caught red-handed in workers' compensation fraud. My third recommendation is to move the council to vote on the creation of an independent 5-person Citizens Complaint Authority Board to be appointed by the City of Warsaw at a later date. This board would be responsible for the complaints of citizens and to permanently establish the rule of law in the City of Warsaw in an effort to keep everybody honest and to prevent situations like this from ever happening again. So those are my recommendations. To fire Brent Caldwell, to file charges on Brent Caldwell, and to vote for the creation of a Citizens Complaint Board with the details to be figured out later. And I think that you should at least vote for it, because when you vote, you get to show the public where you stand on the issue, whether you're for it or against it.
Thanks. Is there any further from council?
I don't have anything.
All right, thanks.
And my thoughts motion. So the public concerns goes unheard.
Scott Brown.
And hell, I put that up October 12th, 2009, and still nothing's come about it. You would think, most people caught with workman's comp fraud are, put in jail, they're fined, felony charges, and everything else. But, him having the mayor as a friend and most city officials as friends, it's a little harder.
Mayor Simpson, city council members, came up here last month to request a support letter for phase 2 of Meadow Creek Townhomes, which was denied. Since then I have spoken with council member Giles and got some more information of what some of the problems are. And basically how it's verbalized to me is that sometimes the residents at Meadow Creek are not respectful to their neighbors. There's just some suspected drug activity at the property.